How many others out there get to make a grown stallion cry like a little baby and get to say they've had a good day? Not that many, I'm sure, but those guys don't know what they're missing. I know what you're thinking. Oh my gosh, he's a complete monster. Everyone has a monster inside them, but the difference when it comes to me is I don't shy away from unleashing it at will. Besides, you think I'm bad? Please, there are ponies, changelings, griffins, dragons, and more who are just as bad or worse than me. And every monster has their limit, something they just won't do. And for me, it's kind of personal. Anyway, now that we had the name of our newest groupie, Lord Cosmo, we made our way to his cell in silence. The two guards, Dumb and Dumber, were looking at me like I was about to run off and eat their foals, and there I was, honestly not giving a buck. Evening Glory, however, was looking at me with less hatred and even a hint of respect for what I did to Lord Ivory. I pity their trial. Princess Celestia was on the warpath, and she was looking at any pony who did something wrong. Got the whole underworld on lockdown even, something I had never seen or even heard of before. Not a single smart criminal or gangster or hireling is doing anything illegal in fear of Celestia's burning gaze coming over their actions. Well, no one but me, since I had a free pass. I don't know why Celestia would even bother worrying about the underworld. Almost every pony I associated with in my business wanted to see Princess Twilight's reformations come to light. Easing up on hostilities with the predator nations would allow business to pick up internationally. Alliances with other international businesses could happen, and imports could be easier. Plus, if the rumors of these new lands we're hearing about in the Far East Sea are true, it could bring in even more dough. Oh, and that whole friendship to all thing Twilight was going for. Sure, that too. Anyway, we arrived at Lord Cosmo's cell while he was chained to a wall. The guy was a Pegasus, rare for their kind to be nobles in Canterlot, with long blonde and green mixed mane and a green-furred body with a yellow shooting star on his flank. Sad part is I didn't know much about this guy, so I was left to ask Miss Stick-Up-Her-Butt. So what can you tell me about him? Lesser noble, I'm guessing? Evening Glory nodded. Lord Cosmo, second eldest son of the Starwing family. Originally from Cloudsdale, the family moved to Canterlot over 15 years ago, after their oldest son died in an honor duel. His family has been seen working at the Night Court, and they have a strong investment in astrology research. Starwing's family has been trying to earn their second oldest son's freedom, despite Lord Cosmo here gloating on about how he did his duty to end the future tyrant of Equestria. Looks like the Starwings are going to be burying another body. Or cremate him, or whatever it is Pegasi do with their dead, I muttered. I'm going to go in and look at him. Need a guard? She asked. I grinned. Why? Afraid I'll get hurt, Miss Betty? I'm touched. Not at all, Bug. She shook her head, rolling her eyes. I chuckled a bit before I transformed into one of the guards and entered the door. I made sure to keep my face stone still with no emotion, like most of the pricks, before I walked over to Lord Cosmo. He glared at me and said nothing as I stopped in front of him and stood still, analyzing his every move. No shortness of breath, despite looking like he'd got a good beating. That shows he's not afraid. Eyes are focused on me, so he's focused. Not even struggling against his chains. Guess he's accepted his fate and doesn't mind it. This might be fun to break. Hey, guard, said Lord Cosmo, but I refused to answer. I already know why you're here. You want my confession, don't you? He smirked. Here it is. I, Lord Cosmo, did indeed conspire and work with my comrades to have Princess Twilight Sparkle assassinated. May she forever burn in Tartarus. That false princess was nothing more than the blade which would have cut off Equestria's head if she was allowed to live. She would have ruined this country. I raised my eyebrow but didn't speak. This I had to hear. She actually wanted to replace our magical lifestyle with a more technological one. That lifestyle brought nothing but death with the way the Griffins use it to make war. Who's to say we won't follow in the same dark and demoralizing path? I don't care how much it would improve our life in the ways magic didn't. It would be abused and lead to ruin. History will see me as a hero. Ah, I've heard this argument before, of course. Equestria was founded by magic, raised by magic, and would live only with magic. Anything short of that was sacrilegious, to the point where some extremists would go out of their way to destroy anything that was technology they didn't agree with. It was only after the last 100 years that they finally managed to advance themselves. Seriously, they didn't have fridges or toilets till 120 years ago.
I take great pleasure knowing that horse died in agony as our assassins sank their blades into her flesh,
said a grinning Lord Cosmo.
I only wish her baby dragon was there, so he could have been killed as well.
My eyes widened.
And she would watch him die before joining him.
A baby dragon. Is that right? I asked, still maintaining my stone expression. After a moment's pause, I turned to leave. Excuse me. I closed the door behind me hard before I took off my disguise and glared at Evening Glory. Is this true? Her eyebrows shot up a bit, and I could guess why. This was the first time I was acting serious, and let me tell you something. I don't normally act serious unless two things were happening. One was if the Vancouver Renegades were playing in the playoffs, and the second was when I was angry. And depending on the answer I was about to get, I was about to get very, very angry. Yes, Princess Twilight's adopted son is Spike Sparkle. He was a dragon she hatched at a very young age and raised ever since, answered Evening Glory. How old is he now? I asked, gritting my teeth. I'd say around 11 to 12. Why? A child. They were willing to kill a child. Now there are a few things in this world that get me angry. Sometimes I get angry when Chrysalis's name is spoken, although I soon feel happy again knowing she's dead. I also get angry when the Vancouver Renegades lose at soccer, but then again that's normal. You see, there is one thing you never want to be when you face me, either in public or when I'm having you tied to a chair, ready to put a cage of hungry rats over your head and release them if you don't tell me what I want to hear. That is, if I hear you, intended or unintentionally, hurt a child. I may be a monster. I may live off the suffering of others. I dare say I love what I do. However, even a monster like me has a line that is never to be crossed. Killing a princess? Fine. I don't care about Canterlot politics. And it's normal when a public figure is almost or successfully killed in a coup or by a hired killer. But wanting to end the life of a young child who had just started living. There is a reason you never want to see a professional torturer like me angry. We don't lose our cool. No, we go beyond what we normally do to make our victims beg for mercy before we are through with them. And if it wasn't for my promise not to kill these 5, I would make sure the last thing on their minds before sweet oblivion takes them is regret ever having the idea of harming a child, that all the regrets they have in the world are nothing compared to the crime they had just committed. The crime of pissing me off. Well, now it was time to use one of my more delicious methods of torture. Right, excuse me for a moment, I said before I calmly opened the door and trotted over to the startled Lord Cosmo. Haunt the hay is a change. He didn't get a chance to finish, as I quickly punched him in the face and knocked him out. Glaring at his limp body in chains, I then said, Quick question, do you have a large tub? Why? Asked Evening Glory as she walked in. I smirked, my eyes narrowed with both glee and anticipation. Because Lord Cosmo here is a very dirty colt and needs a bath. It took about half an hour to set up what I needed. Turns out that the princesses actually have a torture room, but haven't used it for hundreds of years. Shame, too. Some of these instruments are classics, like the Iron Maiden and the rack. You can even see the dried blood stains on the old guillotine. Ah, I wish I had been in a blood-stained and chaotic time as that, where ponies were dragged by their tails, screaming and kicking, begging for mercy, praying to their goddess, and manuring themselves. All before the final moment, where the blade was hung in the air and all was silent, and then slice! Of course, I prefer the breaking wheel on my list of painful executions, but that's for another time. I sat in my collapsible chair, eating from a bag of trail mix requested, while I waited for Lord Cosmo to wake up. The look on his face when he saw he was tied up all the way to the ceiling by some ropes and pulleys was priceless. Naturally, he struggled against his bonds, even tried releasing his wings, but I already made sure those were tied up nice and tight as well. I watched him struggle for a bit before I whistled. "Down here, Cupcake." He noticed me and growled.
"Where am I, changeling?"
"Well, my lord, to be frank, you are still in the palace dungeons, but in the old torture room. I'm borrowing it for a while, till I get you to spill the names of the 5 guards that assassinated Princess Twilight Sparkle."
"The princess actually hired one of you pupilless freaks to torture me,"
growled Lord Cosmo.
"This only proves she has lost her sense of mind."
That was so stupid I had to do a double take. I'm sorry, I'm a what? I'm a pupilless freak?" I asked, half laughing, a silly grin working across my face. "It's not even clever, you idiot. But yeah, go ahead and insult a stallion who's got you hanging up on the ceiling and can bring you down hard, whatever floats your boat." I leaned back and placed my forehooves behind my head as a pillow. "Now, I was going to go easy on you, but let's just say thanks to your mouth, certain information has ticked me off. So much that I'm going to do my best to utterly break you, until nothing remains of your pride and mind."
"You will not break me, changeling. I am loyal and unwavering in my faith to our—"
"Oh, do change the record," I muttered before eating another peanut. "I'd like to interrupt your insane babbling to annoy you, make things generally irritating, and let you know that you are suspended above a vast tub of bleach." The look on his face was again priceless as he peered down and gasped. Below him was a wooden tub large enough to drown even Celestia, filled with that good old stain-removing liquid. I used my magic to activate the lever holding him, and his slow descent towards his doom began. He struggled even harder as I calmly ate my peanuts while activating a nearby radio I'd requested for listening. Just because I'm torturing some pony doesn't mean I can't enjoy myself. I smiled as the calming music began to echo across the room. Lord Cosmo continued to cry out for help or demand that I take him down, which made my mood sour as I could hear him over the music. "Will you pipe down? I'm trying to relax. Breaking ponies is a stressful job, you know." I smirked. "Unless you want to tell me the names."
"Damn you, changeling. I will do no such thing,"
he shouted in defiance. "Fine by me. You're the one who's going to die in the worst way possible." I continued to watch him squirm while continuing to enjoy my little break. Seriously, why don't others like this job? I'm getting paid to just sit here and watch this pony slowly edge his way towards his doom. It's work, a hobby I love, and entertainment in one. Of course, I could do this for kicks and giggles, but as a great stallion once said, if you're good at something, never do it for free. Soon I noticed he was sweating as he crossed his legs, and his tail was lifting a bit before settling back down. My smile increased. Little-known fact about ponies, they have the worst poker butts. By that I mean you can tell their emotions by how their tails move. That little movement right there meant some pony had to use the little colt's room. Badly. "I see you've started to feel it," I said nonchalantly, spitting out the shells of some peanuts. "I wish I had a soda to drink with these. Should make a note of that next time." "Need to pee?"
"What's it any concern to you?"
questioned Lord Cosmo as he gulped. "Well, it should, considering that I had the guards put orange juice in your body via IV, and now that you've got to piss, it's time for a little chemistry lesson," I said gleefully. Now, bleach, as you know, contains chlorine in it, and piss has— oh, what was it? I rubbed my chin, trying to remember that chemical's name. Here I was trying to play teacher to this poor pile of manure, and I was already forgetting the lesson. Arsenic? No. Oh, ammonia, that was it. Now for the fun part. I smiled as he looked upon me with worry. Now, ammonia combined with chlorine creates a special kind of gas known as ammonium chloride. which was used by the Griffins in their earlier wars before they became allies with Equestria. They used to create this little science experiment, and used it on their enemies, where hundreds of thousands died from it. Now these days they use it for their executions at the gas chambers. It's really interesting thing, history. You should read it sometime. I could see Lord Cosmo's sweat dripping down every part of his body as he crossed his legs even more, as the strain of being held up for so long began to show. He eyed the vat of bleach that he was slowly inching towards, like it was the river Styx itself. Seeing this poor scared fellow in such horrible distress made me just stop right there, right? Surely there was some small voice that said I had gone too far, right? No. And you know what the symptoms of exposure to this gas is? Well, first your eyes will start to water and then turn red. You'll start feeling your skin burning or breaking up as redness and blisters become apparent. I hear the feeling is like being exposed to frostbite. A slight burning sensation in the mouth, throat, and nose before it starts hammering away at you like a jackhammer. Your chest will tighten, and it will be very hard to breathe with all that air slowly seeping out of your lungs and being replaced with fluid. That, combined with the urge to vomit, will be noticeable, and that's only if you can ignore the irritable bowel syndrome that comes with it, as your waste sprays out of your butt like a hose. Only after all these effects happen will you then die of asphyxiation and into a peaceful sleep, after experiencing the worst pain you've ever had in your miserable life, I happily said, as each symptom made his eyes widen in terror before he started shaking and screaming, pleading for mercy. I just sat there, watching him list off all the things he could give me if I let him live. He offered money, servants, houses, land, and even his own wife to suck all the love from and have as my own personal sex slave. I doubt I would want a wife that marries a loser like him. I simply held up my hooves to silence him. Look, I don't give a buck for what you're offering, you meat-headed dung-sack. I just want the names, that's it. Because as you lay there strung up, feeling your forelegs about ready to rip out, you have two choices. Now, you can hold it in and slowly be dipped in a tub full of bleach, where you will drown to death but at least look clean for your funeral. Or you can go ahead and piss in that chlorine and fill this room up with one of the most dangerous gases known in the world. This will make you suffer an embarrassing, long, painful death that's going to be so horrible they'll have to burn your corpse and deliver your ashes to your wife so she can kiss your rotten flank goodbye. If you don't give me those names, you're going to die in either fashion, but I'll at least be entertained and have the satisfaction of watching a bastard like you squirm until you're dead. Win-win scenarios all around, I'd say.
What about you? You'll die if the gas spreads as well. So will the rest of the castle. You can't do this,
he pointed out, biting his lip so hard it was starting to draw blood. Well, the room is magically sealed shut at all the exits, so the gas won't be getting out. As for me, I'm a changeling. We're immune to poisons, toxins, gases, and whatnot. Another reason we're better than you, I said with a smirk. So yeah, I'll just wait here listening to this music, and waiting to see if you piss or not. And since you ponies and horses can pee for a long time, I expect this room to be half filled with gas by the time you're done.
Damn you! Ah!
The poor fool shouted as he continued to scream profanities at me, while struggling against his bonds. Don't know why, he's only going to make it more painful. I soon drowned him out as I closed my eyes and relaxed. Sooner or later, he was going to spill a name. Okay, 45 minutes later and he's still holding. I admit, I am impressed. He was 1/3 of the way to touching the bleach with his rear hooves, but I could see he was ready to crack. He had been crying for a good time, moaning and struggling to hold his bladder, which had to be ready to burst like a weak dam. He had balls. I would give him that. But it was time to end this. You can't last much longer, you know. Just tell me the names and I'll let you live. Hey, I'll even escort you to a toilet.
I can't. Please, you have to. This isn't...
He was crying again, like a baby. Wah, wah, wah.
We just wanted her to stop. She was going to ruin everything. In Faust's name, please show mercy.
Mercy. I repeated the word dispassionately. I don't recall there being mercy when you ordered the death of a young mare and her son. Nor do I recall mercy for so many heartbroken friends and family who lost some pony who was important to them. Or how about the mercy for sparing a hero of a nation who you conspired to kill? And you want to claim your goddess's name? I asked with a harsh laugh before I got up and flew towards him. Staring him in the face, I crossed my forelegs and glared at him. You know, there is a passage in your holy book, the Lexiconum of Harmony, that I happen to like. I cleared my throat as I began to quote it, slowly driving my face towards his horrified one, my teeth shining as I smiled, like I was his worst fears come to life. The path of the truly harmonious ones are those who lead others not by tyranny nor selfishness, but by the kindness and wisdom I have given to them. I bless those, be it pony or non, who take it upon themselves to shelter my little ones in times of great trials where chaos rules. Let all who walk upon my path never stray from it in anger, hatred, or fear. All must be one and never seek to bring strife among themselves, or else they will be lost from the path. For those who seek to cause harm or end the lives of my little one shall be forced to deal with such great anger and righteousness that all they will know is suffering. The fury of the heavens shall be upon them with such might that no other god shall be powerful enough to save them. And they will know that I am Faust, goddess of the ponies, as I lay my justice upon them, and smite them in the name of those whose blood they have spilled. I leaned forward and whispered in his ear, You spilled innocent blood. I am the righteous wrath your goddess has delivered unto you, and nothing awaits you but the fury of her vengeance. Unless, that is, you tell me the names. He gave a sob before bowing his head.
Sergeant Crossing of the Solar Division, Private Lightstep of the Solar Division, Staff Sergeant Moonblade from the Lunar Division, Second Lieutenant Valiant Wind of the Solar Division, and Lieutenant Gallant Heart of the Solar Division.
Got him. I thank ye kindly, my lord. Have a nice swim, I said with a smile as I used my magic to loose the handle. I saw his expression turn to horror as he cried,
Wait, stop!
The lock came loose, and he fell towards the tub.
No!
He splashed into the tub and began screaming, flailing his legs around in a panic, as I slowly flew down and watched him, waiting for him to realize he wasn't dying. He slowly opened his eyes and calmed down. He looked down, smelled the bleach, before slowly licking the drops on his face. His eyes turned to realization as he muttered,
It's just water.
I laughed a bit, shouting to the unicorn guards hidden in the room, Okay, boys, show's over. You can put it down now. The unicorns came out and erased the illusion of magic on the tub of bleach, revealing it to be water. Even the smell of the bleach was gone. I really needed to learn illusion magic. The realization that he had just been tricked and was never any real danger finally hit Lord Cosmo like a train at full speed.
I just...
Thank you for telling me all those names. My work here is done. You enjoy whatever's left of your failed and useless life, my lord. He slowly sank into the water as he covered his eyes with his hooves, weeping softly, but loud enough for me to hear it. I could also smell his urine finally being released into the tub, which made him cry even harder. Ah, the sweet smell of piss, tears, and shame. My favorite smell. I walked towards the door, where I was surprised to see Evening Glory there looking, well, surprised.
I can't believe it, she said. Gallant Heart, the Gallant Heart. He's always been loyal. His family has been in the Royal Guard since it was founded. Shining Armor picked him as one of the best stallions at his wedding. His brother is even in the academy. How could...
Well, you never really know folks now, do you? I said nonchalantly as I made my way out of the room and towards the exit. Evening Glory soon followed me. So now what? You guys gonna go after them now?
Yes,
muttered Evening Glory, trying to regain her cool. I could make fun of her for it, but I'm going to be the nice guy just this once.
That was unlike anything I've ever seen before. I don't think even Discord could have done something so horrible.
Flattery doesn't work on me, but thank you.
Just one question, Stag.
I paused in step and raised my eyebrow.
What made you do that?
Well, if you must know, I've always been like this. I love hurting, just something I like doing. Almost got me court-martialed a few times when I was a gatherer. But I was good at information, and I love gathering, so I got a free pass. But then something happened.
What?
She asked. A purge. A purge where a lot of changelings died. Most of them were children. Chrysalis ordered them all to be killed, saying they were a threat to the Empire. I spat at the ground. They were only a threat to her rule.
Some pony important to you died during that, didn't they?
Evening Glory pointed out. I didn't say anything, not as images of the darkest day in my life flashed before my eyes. Little Nectar in my arms, bleeding to death as she asked me to sing her favorite song when she said she wanted to go to sleep. Her mother, my sister, decapitated with her limbs cut off and hung on spears for all to see. Piles of corpses burned, from adults to even newborns only months old. And our good old former queen smiling with approval as she saw the last of the threat to her power eliminated. That was the last time I cried. That was the last time I felt anything that mattered to me anymore. That was the last time I gave a damn about morality. That was when I let the monster inside me eat away what was left of Stag the Changeling, and left only Stag the Torturer. The royal family killed Chrysalis, maybe not intentionally, but that blast led to her death. I took this job because I owe them for that. That is all, I said, trotting away. I only hope I meet Chrysalis when Miss Moria has her reincarnated, so I can make her suffer again and again for what she did. I left Evening Glory in the hall. My job was complete, but I was not done. I will never be done. A torturer never stops hurting, both others and himself. The torturer lived the rest of his days in Van Hoover. Sometimes he would disappear for days on end. When asked where he went, he would reply to his neighbors, "Out on business."